Hey, Magic Man here, and today I'm going to be bringing you a ship which I haven't featured on my channel in a while, and that is the Benson. It's a Tier 8 US destroyer, and the reason I haven't really been bringing any games in this thing is because I've had it spec'd for Supremacy League, and I've also been running the Sea Hole on it, which gives you access to the defensive AA consumable at the expense of one of your guns. So you lose a gun, but you pick up the defensive fire ability, which will let you better protect yourself and others from aircraft, and that's really important in competitive play. But this is a random battle, and I am using the B-hole, but I still have my captain sort of not really optimal for random battles, but it's an AA concealment spec basically. But I'm essentially just gonna play the cap game in this particular game because it is a random battle. I'm just planning on dominating the control points and forcing out any of the enemy destroyers. Now, what I'm doing here is just keeping this gearing lit for my allies. I personally felt like I was too close to be engaging this guy. I felt like I was going to get basically torn to shreds if I try and engage him. So I didn't fire my guns. I have no idea what is behind that gearing. The only thing that was spotted heading this way was the Moskva, which is a radar cruiser, so I have no interest in really sticking around in this area. Now, some of the enemy ships are now being spotted over towards the B point. They have a little bit of a presence, yeah, and I'm starting to see more and more of them. So it's fair to say it looks like the enemy is going for kind of a BC. It's where they're deploying. Oh, and it looks like I'm actually going to get lucky here. I launched these torpedoes in anticipation of maybe hitting the gearing as he tries to escape out the back of a smoke screen. But we actually get the enemy Fletcher. I don't know if I would have hit him had I not shot him and disabled his engine, so that was kind of lucky. It just all sort of fell in place there. So we got a torpedo hit, did a lot of damage, and then finished him off with our guns. And I feel pretty good about how things are going so far. It looks like we've got the enemy gearing and the Fletcher both done. And sure enough, the Moskva is using his radar, and he's gonna fire at me. I guess that's fine. I suppose I am probably the most dangerous DD out here. Yeah, I just don't know, but I'm gonna try and keep this island in between me and this Moskva for the duration of his radar. Since he is a Russian cruiser, it's usually 25-30 seconds at most is a radar duration, so you just have to dodge a couple of volleys and everything will be alright. You just don't fire your guns and you will become unspotted again, and everything will be right in the world. But did lose quite a bit of health, and he started a fire on me. So hopefully I don't have to use my repair anytime soon. And I thought about launching some torpedoes here, but I don't know if that Iowa is going to move up into this gap. I feel like he's probably a decent player because it looks like he's already turning out to avoid going into the said gap. So, well, I'm not going to bother launching my torpedoes there. But seeing as how we have the A point under control, I'm going to take my ship and move it to the BC area because it looks like that's where the team needs most of our help at. And we have actually taken out almost all of their destroyers, although we have lost 2 of ours, but they have lost 3 of theirs. So take out 1 more destroyer and going to be sitting pretty good, because really the only thing that has a chance of spotting me and really ruining my day is another destroyer. And unfortunately for us, we actually just lost a battleship. Looks like the Citadel being lowered on that Iowa didn't really help him any. And this is the new 6.6 patch, I believe is what it is. You know, the American battleships got some buffs. The German cruisers got sort of a buff to their high explosive shells, and that the way the math works out now, they can penetrate thicker armor with their high explosive. Now, you may be asking yourself, why am I not firing at this Z-23? Well, it's because he is shooting at a battleship, so I don't want to give away my position here, because it's really going to ruin this torpedo attack if I get spotted. Because not only is that battleship going to have an idea that, hey, there's a destroyer over here, I should probably move out of this area, but I also probably won't do much damage to that Z-23, considering that he was basically, you know, as thin as he could possibly be. So I'm going to stay undetected. I am going to launch some more torpedoes. I feel like that battleship is probably going to move forward into that gap because the ships that he is shooting at are fleeing. But actually, when I saw this smoke screen going down, I was like, well, I don't really need to move as much as I thought I did, because he can't move very far, and he's probably going to be continuing to sit in that smoke screen. So I felt like that's about probably where he'd be. I'm just trying to get some really good torpedo attacks in here. I will eventually start using my guns a little bit more, but to be honest, the American destroyers, since they did away with stealth firing, I find them to be a very effective torpedo platform, just because their torpedoes are so stealthy, and so are the ships, so you can usually get in pretty close. The only downside to this is that they have an extremely long reload time on their torpedoes. I think, what was mine, like a minute 45 or something? It's almost 2 minutes to reload a torpedo tube, so it's quite a long time, but I typically use my torpedoes one at a time on the Benson. I feel like 5 is enough if they're properly aimed. And we actually get 2 hits and 2 floodings. Considering that guy was flooding before, that's probably going to do quite a number on him. And I was just surprised that I wasn't getting more hits on this guy. I was aiming for right about the middle of his ship, and I just wasn't getting him. And that's the battleship right there hitting me with his guns, which is fine. It looks like he got a bunch of over penetrations. No big deal. And I definitely should have done more damage to that guy, but I guess just the angle that I was sailing, along with the angle that he had his ship at while he was sailing away from me, was just enough for my guns to come up short. So yeah, that kind of happens. It doesn't happen very often that those sort of things line up like that, but all my shots were just falling just barely short, even though I had my crosshair like literally right on the middle of his hull. So that was a kind of a new experience for me, and at this point I'm going to be moving over to the sea point to sort of get some torpedoes off on these enemy battleships. I want them to think that I'm coming around the front of the sea point, so I'm going to intentionally sail under this plane, turn on my AA, and let it spot me, because I want them to think that I'm coming around the south side of this island, which unfortunately for them is not what I'm actually going to do. But I do have to destroy this plane first. That way they can't see me turn away and head to basically the north island on the sea point, because I want to get into that gap over there about the 7E line and basically throw some torpedoes into the side of them from an unexpected angle. Because right now, you know, they're spotting everybody. They see all of us coming this way, and I just want to throw some torpedoes at them from an unexpected angle. And it also gives me the option. I thought I might be able to hit this Neptune, but all my shells are actually going to impact on the island. Now, I thought with the way things were going at sea that the enemy team was going to push into sea, and I might be able to get some torpedoes off into that channel if they start pushing forward, which is why I was doubling back and going around this way. But it doesn't look like the Yamato is actually interested in doing that. He is really hugging that island, and from what I can tell on the minimap, he is reversing. And I felt like my team could handle a Neptune over there, which is why I wasn't moving to the north side. And it is definitely like a torpedo soup from what I can see there on my screen. So I think that Neptune might be done for. And this is where I almost crap my pants, because it looks like this Yamato is running a double spotter plane, which is going to make it tough to get in here and do anything. Now, for a second, I thought I would turn down this channel and basically surprise these guys, but there's really too many ships there for me to effectively ambush them. And with them backing up and retreating behind this island, it doesn't really give me any chance to basically get off torpedoes and do anything to them. Now, I will point out, our battleship over by the ACAP just died, and I didn't notice when I was playing this, but that was a guy from the fleet that I'm in. And yeah, I don't really pay attention to too much about like who's in the game when I start a match in a random battle. If I'm not already platooned up, I don't really care who you are. But it looks like Sig might actually be a little salty from what I saw in chat there about maybe the actions that I am taking. Now, if I launch my torpedoes here, I feel like there's a good chance I might be able to get maybe one or two people, depends on which way these guys go. So I'm definitely gonna launch my torpedoes here and then basically bug out. I think I might be able, if the Neptune comes down this way, we'll get him. If the Kurfürst comes down this way, we'll probably hit him. And that's really who I want to hit, is that Kurfürst. And I may not actually get any torpedo hits at all, but it looks like that battleship is coming up this direction, and if he wants to turn around and have any sort of influence on sea, he's gonna have to make a turn, and that unfortunately is gonna put him right in the way of those torpedoes if he turns out. And fortunately for me, I actually get around and spot him just as my torpedoes are about to hit him. And we get 4 hits, 3 floodings. Unfortunately, I'm not going to get a torpedo hit on that Neptune. He's going to get out of the way of him just in time. If those torpedoes were just a little bit faster, I probably would have got that Neptune as well. But that's something that I like to try and do with my torpedoes, is try and get 2 targets with 1 spread. And when they're clustered up like that, it makes it pretty easy. So far this game, I haven't really used my guns too much. I don't want to give away my position. The torpedoes on the Benson are really effective, and the same thing goes for the Tier 9 Fletcher as well. I could be giving smoke to that Rune if I wanted to double back, but I really want to get over here and head off this Moskva and the Iowa. I'm not really too worried too much about the cruiser, but it's the Iowa that I want to get rid of. We unfortunately only have 1 battleship versus their 3, and so we're at a big health pool disadvantage, especially considering the fact that most battleship guns can overpenetrate a cruiser at any angle and basically citadel them. So that's also something you have to take into consideration. So I want to try and keep this Bismarck alive, and I really felt like my teammates in the destroyers and the cruisers had proven, at least from what I'd seen, they seemed like fairly competent teammates. So I was trusting them to hold down that cap while I go over here and see if I can head off these 2 ships and keep them from basically killing this Bismarck and really almost ruining any chance that we have to win this game. And what you saw there, I aimed some torpedoes at the tip of the island in case that Iowa decides to turn up and head towards B. That would probably be the path that he was going to take. And then I fired some at his predicted path. Now, he's not straying much from his predicted path, so it looks like that's going to be a good hit, but then I get spotted with radar. I freaking hate these freaking cruisers, radar cruisers, man. The Russians have such a long range, but they have a short duration, and yeah, this Iowa immediately slows and turns because he already knows what's coming. Unfortunately, he doesn't get out of the way of one of those torpedoes, and it does hit him, cause some flooding, but it looked like he took it on the belt, so instead of doing 1,600 points of damage, only did 11,000, unfortunately. But this game is still pretty close. It can turn around. They still have a Kuchezov and a Yamato over there by sea. And those two ships combined are a very hard counter to the two cruisers and two destroyers we have left over there. And I was trying to catch up with this Bismarck to give him a smoke screen, because with that Moskva just using his radar, it's going to be very hard for him to influence this outcome. But with the points that we have now, it would seem that it's really only a matter of time till we win, as long as this Bismarck doesn't die, because he is basically sailing broadside on to two ships that put out a lot of AP damage, which is not exactly very smart. But it looks like this is going to be it right here, which is fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and try and get in some more chip damage, but we've basically won the game barring anybody dies, and that's why I kind of smoked up here, because I didn't want to get hit and die and make us lose the game. But it's going to be it right here. Okay, so moving on to the results here. We actually did 125,000 points of damage. Got 9 torpedo hits, assisted in 2 captures, and sunk 2 ships. I only did 27 hits with my guns. Since they limited stealth fire, I don't use my guns a whole lot. I usually tend to give my smoke screens to allies or use them defensively. So, you know, it is what it is. And we actually end up on the top of the team there with about 2,100 base experience, which is quite a bit. But, you know, if games last almost 20 minutes, you can usually rack up pretty good XP. And as you can see there, we did most of our damage to battleships and a little bit to destroyers, not a whole lot, but did 100,000 damage in just torpedoes and another 16,000 in flooding. So the Benson, pretty good torpedo boat, also has pretty good guns when you're in close range. So you're good at hunting battleships and killing other destroyers. So that's usually how I like to play it. But anyways, if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe if you want to see more. Okay, so moving